Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to Cancer season. Cancer as a zodiacal energy really resonates for you in a part of your chart that has to do with your life path and purpose. As a Scorpio identified being, a big part of what you are here to do is perceive, and your perception wants to permeate underneath the superficial and into the psychological and the emotional, as well as into the currents of connectivity and collectivity that pass between people. And we might call this realm the realm of intimacy or the realm of vulnerability. This is a season that is amplifying your awareness of psychology. It is a season that is calling forth your empathy and compassion. This is a period of time that is asking you to grow your consciousness and your awareness around the human condition, of course, which you are a part of. This is also a season that is bringing a fair amount of emotional intensity into our atmosphere. We are living through a time of high emotional intensity, and we are also living through a time of high variability and unpredictable outcomes. Life is a trip. Life is a dream. And the more that you can tune in with your own life as a journey and as a dream, as an adventure through layers of constantly shifting unrealities, or these kinds of dream-like spaces that are always in flux, the more that opens you up to be receptive in the moment to the intelligences that want to come through. This is a period of time that asks you to surrender in some ways. And the surrender or the submission that is being invited from you is not to other people. It's not to any kind of human conception, but more to the flow or the river of life itself. If you have any framework for divinity, then it would be a surrender to that. So offering yourself as a channel, as a vessel to the divine of your understanding, whether you call that divine creation or goddess or God or Allah or the is or nature or earth or any of the elements or something else. This is a time that is really inviting you to unite your will and your sense of personal power and capacity with what is bigger and vaster than you, and to feel that you have some amount of agency in creating openness through your body, through your self-expression, the ways that you move in the world and move through the world. And in this opening, you have a potential to channel. When I say channel, I don't necessarily mean through your voice. I don't mean like in a mediumistic capacity, although a lot of you Scorpios are mediums and you are channels that might be able to open your voice for spirits to speak through, if that's something that you're interested in. But the meaning that I have right now for channeling is more intuitive and inspirational and creative. You are one cell in the larger body of creation, and creation in its totality and its intelligence can move through you. There's a feeling here of getting your ego out of the way and really trying to listen and trust what life is asking from you. Now, this is easier said than done. And when it comes to what you want and maybe what you have been working towards or what you feel attached to, living life in a body on planet Earth offers absolutely zero guarantees. Lots of people out there really give it their all. They work really hard from sun up to sundown. They practice all kinds of positive, manifestation techniques, and life still happens, right? Like the baby's still crying, people are still hungry, you still make a mistake somewhere, and then there are consequences for it. And sometimes you do everything right and it still isn't working out. The feeling of putting your ego to the side right now is this feeling of surrender. There's a feeling of softening in Cancer season where the numinous wants to speak into you. And attuning yourself to the message of the numinous is a constant practice. And inside of this practice is an awareness of where you are attached and where your ego is trying to lead, trying to get things to open that maybe don't want to open, trying to move in a direction that actually isn't the right direction for you. And so you have to be willing to listen deeper. Now, at the same time, as we move through Cancer season, and especially as we get into the month of July, there are increasing opportunities for you to be bold and be courageous and put yourself out in new and different ways. From basically the beginning of July until the middle of August, you have a lot of support to increase your audiences or expand your reach. There are influences that are helping you to be seen, to express yourself, to communicate in again bold and courageous ways, to put yourself out there, etc. And the growth for you right now definitely is in development of your vocation and your work in the world. I'm going to say your service to the world. But this growth absolutely relies upon your capacity and willingness to listen and attune yourself with the deeper messages of your intuition and of spirit that are wanting to come through at this time. You're in the beginning of a major renovation of your public self, and for many of you, your life path. This renovation will be taking place over the next year through June of 2025. And during this time, there will be some back and forth between how you feel compelled when you're listening more deeply to your intuition, to your inspiration, and to spirit, and then how you are accustomed or in the habit of putting yourself out into the world. We're always performing, right? When we're putting ourselves out, like I'm doing a little performance for you right now. But inside of this particular performance, I am definitely really trying to speak from my heart, listen to my own intuition, and anchor into my spirit, and allow something bigger to move through me that is not of my ego, but is more automatic and organic in its intelligence. To whatever point I might succeed, I can't control it. I cannot be attached. As a human being, of course, I'm constantly working through my ego, my biases, my ignorances, my failures, etc., as are you. We're all limited. But this practice of not performing for an audience, not performing for the validation of others, not giving so that you'll get something that you've already identified in your mind as indicating success or value or something like that, but rather bringing yourself into whatever your offering is. And this feels like your worldly offering, your public offering. For some of you, this is your career or your vocation. For others of you, this is leadership inside of your community. For others of you, this is your role as an elder as you mature. There's the feeling here of you embodying something in the world that others can see as a possibility model. And what we want to see from you is your authenticity. What we want to feel from you is your heart and your spirit. And what wants to get channeled through you is the kind of larger intelligence, call it what you will, that you have a unique access point with and that wants to move through you in unique ways. So over the course of Cancer season, Scorpio, please take time to attune yourself and to connect with the divinity of your understanding. This could include meditation and prayer. This could include journaling or other kinds of self-expressive activities, art making, anything that is automatic and exploratory, that's more for you, for your research and development than it is for an audience. This can definitely include therapy, astrology, any kind of divination or work with the occult and the mysteries. This absolutely can include and should include time in communion with earth and the elements. Bringing yourself to water is a great place for you as a water element being to receive communion and connection with the divine. Towards the end of Cancer season, pretty much right as we get into the last days, there is a kind of increase in atmospheric energy. I'm going to say that the pace of information increases rapidly. And then from the end of Cancer season until the beginning of September, so basically the middle of July until the beginning of September, there is a kind of atmospheric shift in the world where it feels like the winds are blowing more quickly and strongly. Now, this may be actually what's happening. You know, as global temperatures rise, the winds will get stronger. Heat and wind work together. But as a symbol, what I'm going to say is it feels like this is a period of time when there's a lot of information in the air and it's kind of blowing around with big gusts, maybe coming from multiple different directions. And it feels like people are getting tossed around a little bit. Now, in your chart, I'm going to say that there's something about this kind of energy that actually evokes your magic. It evokes your potential as a scorpionic person to hold steady and get deeper in times of chaos and intensity. This influence is asking you to really tune in to psychology, and this is where I started your reading. It's easy for us to be reactive, right? It's easy for human beings to react to one another. We're doing it all the time. It's part of our biological survival mechanisms. We need to be able to react quickly to threat in order to survive. We also need to be able to respond adequately to attraction in order to be able to survive and thrive. However, psychology is a gnarly and twisted karmic kind of beast. And how people respond and react is not always and maybe quite infrequently aligned with actual survival in ways that would lead to thriving. And so I feel like you're in a period of time in which your intelligence and capacity to read underneath the surface is deepening and necessarily accelerating. A lot of you are honing your psychic capacities right now, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about channeling. There is a need for you to be listening to what is coming through in the deeper channels of energy, of inference, of vibe, and also of spirit. This is a time for you to really be listening and curious about what are the messages that you're receiving. It can be easy to confuse our intuition with our egos sometimes. This happens all the time in the spiritual community, that we feel a kind of way, there's a personal investment in feeling that way. There's ego, there's fear, and we feel it really strongly, and then we call it intuition. And so there's what feels to me to be a need to slow down and pause and really be with what is emerging for you. I'm going to say that if you're receiving guidance right now to do something, notice the frequency of its repetition and notice the vibratory quality that it brings. So you can listen to the messages that come in on repeat. And when they come in on repeat, they feel clarifying and grounding in your body. If they're coming in on a repeat loop that spins you into anxiety, I'm going to say that that's a place of intuition that needs to be refined. It's asking for deeper examination. Where is that voice coming from? What are the deeper needs that that voice is expressing? It may not be 100% off base, but there may be aspects of those messages that need to get worked through your psychological acuity. When it comes to intimacy and dealings with other people, there is a lot of support right now for you to increase intimacy, to share more resources, to be more open, to be more vulnerable. This is a really marvelous influence for potentially trust building, but it absolutely requires courage. It requires disclosure on your part, Scorpio, which isn't always easy for you. It requires moving towards your curiosity and actually opening up in that space and seeing what can happen when you are not guarded or defended, at least not entirely. So use this influence to open your communicative faculties, especially in the communication channels that are deeper and more expansive than verbal. All in all, Scorpio, this is a powerful season for deepening your self-knowing, for connecting with your higher sense of trust and purpose, and for expanding your relationships and connections with the more than human, the unseen realms, as well as with the energetic connections between yourself and other people. These influences lend themselves to an increase in your personal power and can give you confidence and bravery, courage when it comes to putting yourself out into the world. And in the ways that you put yourself out into the world, make sure that you are taking the time to really connect with your heart-centered truth and with this sense of communion between yourself and a larger or greater substance or life energy. And working to surrender some of your ego into the container of that larger source so that your efforts and your actions will be more supported. I'm wishing you all the best in Cancer season. Bye for now.